Yes.
Okay, so great to be here with you today. We are going to have a great session, a great panel with some wonderful panelists today about a topic which is very hot at the moment. You all know and you've all experienced it this year, probably great, hopefully not so great disruption in the way you're working, in the way all of us in the industry, in the service industry, in the IT industry are working. Working remote, teleworking, not using the office, social distancing, physical distances, and so on, has changed the way we are collaborating, has changed the way in which we react and relate to our organization. And even if we are hoping that we are getting sooner to a better situation, maybe these changes or some of the changes are here to stay. So it is not that we faced a challenge and we are still facing it, but maybe the way we're working has completely and for the time being and maybe for the future changed for good. So we are going to talk with three great panelists, and for the beginning I will like to have a round of introduction. I will start with Marc. Marc, you are taking care at Dropbox of the promotion and positioning of your company, of Dropbox, in the huge geographic area. I mean, in Europe, in Africa, and in Middle East, and you're also supporting the channel partners of Dropbox. As well, you have quite a strong experience in the collaboration and the digital workplace, the way to work in this in these times. So tell us more about what you're doing at Dropbox and about your activity.
Sure, happy to do that. Thanks for the intro, Daniel. So I'm Marc. My role is Head of Channel Solutions in EMEA, which means I'm responsible for the technical support of our channel partners that are on our behalf selling the Dropbox for Business product. At the same time, there's one other role that I have, which is not really official. It's more sub-official, which is I'm a cultural ambassador. And as a cultural ambassador, it means that I'm embracing all the values, the corporate values that we as Dropbox have, and talking to other people about that internally as well as internally. And now that we built our strategy of working in 2021, which we call Virtual First, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, perhaps, but also have a different separate session for that later today. That's the reason why I'm here, and I'm really looking forward to the chat.
Thank you very much, Marc, and we're moving to Martina. Martina, you're leading the TYPO3 Academic Committee, and you're working at the Leibniz University of Hannover. You've been involved in the role of in the academic committee for quite some time now, and have an active role in organizing also the events. Please tell us more about the TYPO3 Academic Committee, your role and your activity.
Thank you. I'm Martina, and I work at the Leibniz University of Hannover. We, as a TYPO3 team, are 8 people who provide the web service for all the university sites, and that is also why I'm the leader, or why I'm a member and then the leader of the academic committee. We represent the role of the websites of universities in the TYPO3 association, and there is an academic membership for universities, so they can be a part of the TYPO3 association as well. And we organize the yearly university days. So this year, obviously, as an online version, the first time. Yes. So and at the Leibniz University, I work in the IT services in the web team, and I'm a project coordinator, and I also do support for the different colleagues from the university who provide the information on the websites.
Thank you very much, Martina. And moving to Rick, you are having quite a long history of involvement into the TYPO3 Association, in the board, in the steering committee, and also as a senior entrepreneur. You've worked in the IT industry for a long time, and you have as well lately a very strong focus on the digital workplace concept and the philosophy. So tell us more about yourself and about what you're doing in this respect.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I have a long background in the TYPO3 community and universe. First as an agency owner, and later on as part of the association board, and now currently in the supervisory board of the GmbH. And in my daily life, basically the 40 hours work I have in a week, I am currently hired by T-Mobile, the Netherlands, part of Deutsche Telekom, and I'm fully responsible for the digital workplace of all the people working for T-Mobile. That's around 7,000 people. And then the last 4 years, I developed a strategy for them, and the moment we are finalizing that strategy, and working towards the post-COVID solution that somewhere will be in place next year.
Thank you, Rick. And from what you're saying, I understand that actually you are kind of preparing for digital workplace mode for much longer before the COVID has hit. So you are not taken off guard. And I suppose some other of our panelists as well, like Dropbox, you are not as well taken quite off guard. But let's move forward to the next round. And I would like to just to advance in the intro of this conversation to talk about what has changed and how things have changed in your organization, in the way you're working exactly this year. And then we will move a bit to a more free-flowing conversation. So, Marc, if you please tell us, what was it this year for Dropbox?
Sure. So maybe I start with that from a personal perspective. I'm working from home since March 6th. Yes, I remember the exact date because it really struck me quite big time. And at that time, I remember that. And I just talked to a couple of people yesterday. It's like, initially we said, well, for the next 2 weeks, you're going to work from home. And here we are. It's the 16th of December, and we're still all working from home. So it kind of caught us off guard. But the good thing is, we as Dropbox, we are a tech company, right? We were prepared, which means that everybody, like from a technical perspective, we all are working with laptops. We don't have static computers. So we could just take all our stuff, take it home, and then work from there. It wasn't unusual even before to be working from home, but not like that for that long amount of time. I was probably working most of the Fridays from home anyways, but staying there was absolutely different. And so I would say the challenge from a technical perspective wasn't super big, as for all the tech companies, I guess. But the challenge from a mental health perspective, and from what this does to us as people, and from a cultural perspective, it was super different and very, very challenging. That's why I'm so super happy that we are now prepared for the next steps, and that we have a very clear path on what will happen in 2021.
All right, thank you. And how was it for a university? I mean, to the private sector, maybe there are some aspects which are different, and maybe you could highlight them. How was it for you, Martina?
Yes, it was a bit different for us. We had the possibility to work from home before, but only it was a pilot project, just started the year before. For every employee, it could be possible, if the tasks are suitable, to work 12 days a year from home. You have to plan everything in advance and so on. We have, because we are a family-friendly university, we have the possibility to do some what's called telework, and the people who stayed at home, they worked from home before for some days of the week. It was very structured, and I think they were, before all the pandemic situation, they were quite isolated at home, because one of my colleagues was before working from home some days of the week, and I heard from other colleagues, so she's not here today, I will talk to her tomorrow. So that was the starting situation. And then we get to work from home, I think about it was about the 15th of March, I think. And as a university, we have quite a good network. We have VPN clients, we have everything. But of course, the teaching, before it was all in presence, and we had the luck that the semester hasn't started. So they could put quite an effort in doing some online stuff. And when the semester started, they could easily, or not easily as well, but they could switch to online courses. And we as a team, we didn't have much problems, because we are the website team. So our work is basically everything is online. So we don't have the problem. I think a lot of other departments had more problems. And yeah, we at the beginning, there was no infrastructure to talk to each other. So we established, I think 2 days we went at home office, and then we started a Slack channel. Later on, there was also some client from the university itself. So it's an open source messenger matrix. And in our team, we only 8 people. So we could see who is online, and we also try to work like we are in the office. So you see someone is there, and you have to know before, when we go to the office, it was a lot of office orientated work. You go to another room and ask people something. So that's our kind of working. And before, we have to track our time. So that's now new. We are more flexible now, but we try to work from 9 to 5, almost like we are together in one building. So that's our strategy now. And we also do a lot of team conversations with video conference and stuff. So to keep everybody healthy and together. So no one is working alone in our team. Yeah.
Very interesting. Even if you and your department are more resembling the situation of an IT agency in terms of your activity, however, you have a strong interaction with everybody else, the teaching staff and everybody. So you kind of mix the situation together, and I find it interesting that you've mentioned the tools, that you're introducing tools to that for communication, collaboration. This is something that we should touch a bit further in our conversation, to see exactly what kind of tools do we need, or does it do we get to help us? I will move to Rick with the same general topic for now, in relation to how things were changed for you and for your company. And you told us already that you are kind of ready, but were you actually that ready for what is going to come?
Well, we I cannot say that we were in luck that we that we saw this happening, but at the end of 2019, we finished our migration to Office 365, and basically got everyone on the Office 365 platform with Teams, with SharePoint, etc. And before that, we had a mixture of different sets of toolings, different sets of video conferencing tools. So somehow we were ready when the lockdown happened. We also did a lot of adoption between Q4 2019 and during Q1, and we were finished and thinking of what new forms of adoption do we need for Teams, the conferencing tools of Microsoft. And then it was lockdown, no one was allowed anymore in the office. So the only thing, so basically everyone, the normal office workers were ready to work remotely. They had a laptop, they had the means to work. The only things what we didn't have for all the employees were headsets. We had a big group of call center agents, basically the people who well, if you call T-Mobile, then you get somewhere a contact center agent on the phone. Those people worked in the office in cubicles next to each other, and they didn't have a device at home. So we needed to switch from a standard in-office situation to a working from home situation in, let's say, 3 days' time. So we were able to, I think we had 300 people. So we were able to provide those 300 people within those 3 days, one logistical experiment, to hand out those devices and headsets and monitors and the whole shebang to work at home. Also arranging it from a technical perspective. It looks like a big operation, and it was a big operation. Luckily, we were able to get the right people in the same room and working even during the weekend to provide everything. And the last few months, no one has been in the office except a small group, like facilities. I have been in the office. I'm two times a week normally with a colleague, but there are only 10 people on average in the office, and it's an office for around 1,200 people. So you can understand, it's like the guy I speak most are is the guy who cleans the coffee machine. Normally you speak with other colleagues, and he is always there. So I've spoken with him about his wife and the situation, etc. So you get a different feeling about the company, different feeling about the colleagues you have over there. And the biggest things you hear from other colleagues, also what Marc is telling, is the mental problems, people who have to work at home in small homes, and because they are not only the one is working at home, no, also their partner is working at home. So one is working in the kitchen and the other one is working in the room of one of the kids. And they're switching. If you have those conference calls, you see people and you see the stairs behind them. So they're basically working, in the hall or the stranger places. And so it's hard for people. We provide a lot of additional tooling, like for instance, we currently have for 600 people the tool Miro. That's a kind of collaboration tooling where you can work with sticky notes and free-flowing solution. Is really great tool. We have people who did some team building with a game called Among Us, which is also very great, what I heard. In Teams, you have those breakout rooms, which is awesome if you have a large group of people and they doing stuff with Kahoot, for instance, the gaming system, all kind of stuff we are doing to work on those mental things. Yesterday, for instance, everyone got a big box for the Christmas event we have tomorrow evening. So we have a large party with all kind of national musicians with dance music, etc. So we got a large box with chips and all kind of nice things, and in a branded box. So yeah, the company is really trying to work on that employee experience, and that's really changed. So that's yeah.
These are very nice points, Rick, and I've heard from you about the tools that you employ. On one hand, Martina told us about the tools for communication. Then, Rick, you've said, of course, about the tools of sharing information. And then special tools, the tools that maybe we didn't think about using until now. And it's we are in this lockdown in Europe and in many parts of the world since 9 months now, and things will continue. So, I mean, realistically, things will go on. So going towards finding tools for health, let's say, Martina said health, it's mental health as well, maybe physical health as well. Could be something that we should more and more look for or bring into it. What is your take on that in Dropbox, Marc? What kind of tools did you discover?
Well, the good news is we as Dropbox, we developed our own tool for online collaboration. Fantastic. So we already had one piece of the puzzle in place. What I have to kind of add to this is everybody probably knows Dropbox, but we do have a couple of other products as well that we are using very, very intensively and even more intense during the lockdown. One of them is Dropbox Paper, which is just an online whiteboard where you can just collaborate with other people on the content itself. We use that high and wide. And then we also have HelloSign, which is electronic signature. You can't imagine how many people asked us for that tool during the lockdown, because finally you don't have those nice little paper things that you can just hand over the desk. So people have to use that. From a collaboration perspective, we are using mainly Slack and Zoom. So Slack is also our preferred tool for communication. And what we found out during that time, also referring back to what you said, Rick, it's like you have to look at also the mental health, how you collaborate, how you communicate. We kind of differentiate now between synchronous and asynchronous work. So just looking at when do I need to do what? Because we all know that, and I remember from the beginning of the pandemic, that was my kind of negative story, I would say. You started with just working as if you were in an office. It was as easy as that. So you had your standard meetings, your one-on-ones, your team meetings, all of those. And then if you wanted to talk to any of your colleagues, what you did is you put a meeting in. Well,
yes, yeah.
Before that, you would just walk over his desk. Now you had to put in a meeting. So what happened is my second week in lockdown was completely blocked out from not 9 to 5, but 8 to 7, because I'm also working with the US guys with 30-minute slots of back-to-back meetings. And I took all of them because it's like, yeah, you have to talk to those people because you would otherwise just walk over there. The reality is you don't. There's so many other tools, and by using and implementing those other tools like Slack, like Teams, whatever it is, you can also communicate without having this physical or virtual meeting, but you can use the asynchronous way of communicating. And I think that's super important to just keep sane a little bit, because one thing is to have those back-to-back meetings. There were days before where I also had those kind of back-to-back meetings all day. The difference is now, what you have now is you will have a separate topic every 30 minutes, a completely different topic where you completely have to switch your mind, and without even having those 5-minute breaks in between. So we're using the G Suite for all other tasks like email and the Office suite. And what we did is we used this functionality of when you put in a 30-minute block or a 30-minute meeting, it only goes for 25 minutes. And if it's an hour, it will only block 50 minutes. So that you have at least in your head a couple of minutes that you can use to switch the room, or just, I don't know, just get something to drink or do the stuff that you have to do during a day, right?
Doing the bio break.
Exactly.
That I learned yesterday, the term bio break.
Bio break is a very German term, I think, although it sounds English, but it's. And the other kind of tools that we are seeing now are the tools like Hopin that we are in right now. Or Rick, you mentioned Miro. We're using that also quite big time. I think there are a couple of really, really interesting tools that were there before the pandemic, but now because everybody had to work from home, you had to actually find exactly those tools that help you get into the right working concept again, into this working mindset again. And those are the tools that are really, really helping us big time.
Very good insight.
I would like to add that I think we improved some team conversations with tools like Slack or Matrix, because before, as you said, you would walk in a room and talk to one person, one colleague. So maybe this isn't the one who is best for the job. So now we have different channels, and we talk about different topics in the channels, and everybody is up to date. So everybody can read it and everybody knows about it. So it's more transparent now. And of course, we also have meetings, but not for every little piece of things. And I have a colleague. Before I tried to step in front of his office, so he was not there, he was smoking. The next time I was interrupting him in his work. So now I can write him a message. It's not like an official email, it's just one simple question. He can answer whenever he is ready and has the time. So I think that is better than before, because before we also had these tools, but we never used them. It was like they are not they are not to use because we are all here. So, and if you are not there for one day, you maybe miss a lot of information. So now everybody is more integrated in the team and everybody knows what's going on.
So it looks like we are not only adapting or what was used to in our mind in March. Okay, we have to adapt to a challenge. No, actually we end up transforming the ways in which we work, and maybe to the better. I mean, even if you think like 1 year back, if we would have taken what we have discovered during this year, maybe it would have been better for the traditional way of working. To incorporate this types of interaction, not just tools. You've mentioned tools, but you've mentioned already different types of interaction, a different arrangement in that. And Marc, you've introduced the idea of asynchronous work. Does it relate also to what we might see? I don't know. The dissolution of the 9 to 5. Will we actually end up discharging this let's say traditional thought about coming in the office at 9 and breaking the door out at 5 and yes, I'm done and it's over?
So the interesting piece here is, if you look at it in general, I don't think we will ever get rid of 9 to 5, because there are traditional verticals, traditional companies that have to stick to it, that want to stick to it. So what I do see though, and what was established during the lockdowns, during the pandemic, is the flexibility that we're getting from our companies, especially if you work in tech. The flexibility will become totally different. And the reason why is because we have to adapt to the situation. Rick, you mentioned the people that are living in this small space, that have children that need to work as well. How should they get their kids to school? And then, because if it's school, or do homeschooling, like from 9 to 11, let's say, and still work during that time, it's just not possible. We have to be flexible.
I have colleagues that are in the middle of the meeting collecting their kids from school. So basically, I've one colleague in particular. In the middle of the meeting, he said, "Okay, I have to pick up my kids, so I'm going to hop on my bike. So if you hear me hear more sounds, that's because I'm on the bike." So we hear that, we can enjoy that sound. Then at some point you hear the sound of a playground with kids. I said, yeah, I'm at school. So one moment I will drop off for a few seconds to pick up my kids. So it's not only a real balance between work and life. No, it's a blend. So they are mixing it up. Yesterday I had a conference call with I think 40 people, and at some point you see kids coming interview, because it was a very long session, and kids come interview, and because they were young children, they put them on their lap also, and they waved, that kind of stuff that happens. And
You know
it's
what? Nobody
accepted.
cares anymore. That's the good.
No, it's accepted, because when the kid waves, then almost everyone starts waving back. So it's a new normal.
And how cool is that? What kind
Yeah.
of a difference is that if you think back a year ago? Do you
Exactly.
still remember the video from the guy doing the interview with
Oh, yeah.
CNN where his kids come in?
Yes.
And he was so embarrassed about that. Now, literally, dependent on who I talk to, I'm waiting for the dog or cat come into the picture so that I can see the dog or cat or the kids, because it's just, this is life, right?
Yeah.
And we're all at home now, so we have to integrate our life. The one thing, though, where I think we need to be really careful is we also need to make sure that we switch on and off still.
Yes.
So what I do agree that we will have a blend between work and life. We also do need find ways to switch off. One thing that I did, for example, because it was important for me to do that as well, is obviously I haven't had a commute since March 6th. The commute always was my time, like my time in between work and the family. So what I did is I started cycling. So during the whole lockdown, what I could do is get on my bike in the morning to kind of start my day, then get to work just upstairs. And when I was done with the main work, I just went onto the bike again and did another quick round, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes. This can only also be a walk or whatever it is. Just get this cut into your head, because otherwise you won't switch up. And this is also what we've seen happening during this year, is that people are really, really getting overworked and are working way more than they actually should.
Yeah, that's awesome idea. I think that for a lot of people, that is a simple way to make that split. In my situation, I'm the one who's cooking at home. So at the end of the day, or a certain time of the day, I basically switch off and I spend time in the kitchen. And the thing is, because I don't have that commute, I can cook more difficult or longer taking recipes, other than the stuff you need to have ready in, let's say, 30 minutes. So working basically in the kitchen is also helping unwind, because what you say, Marc, it's something that's necessary.
I have a totally crazy idea for you. Just a very, very quick one. Totally crazy thing that just came up like last week with me. One thing that is super important for all of us, this is our mobiles, right? So our mobiles are super important because we have all of the work information on there, including email. So I now ask myself the question, why do I actually need my work email on my mobile when I'm working from home? There's absolutely no reason for having that, because when I start work, I get onto my laptop, there's my email. When I stop work, I want to stop work, right? So, and when I'm doing a break, when I'm taking a walk, I don't want to look at my email. The reason I came to that is because sometimes, especially when you're working through various time zones, in the mornings, you got interesting emails during the night that you just think about from like when you read them. And I'm one of those crazy guys that reads emails in bed until you really start working, and you already got that inside your head, but you don't need that. So I just got rid of work email on my mobile because I don't need it.
No,
So maybe I can add from a university perspective. I don't have a mobile for work because we are in university. Of course, we don't have mobiles. So I have my mobile is completely private. So I think this helps, because I'm also a person who wakes up and maybe Twitter, it's in between, because I use it also for TYPO3 things, but it's not work. I think it's more the community I enjoy. And yes, of course, every day I get up, I sleep longer now. So I don't have this, I'm not far away from my office, but I think that's great. I dress up every day like I go to the office. So this helps me to, it's for me, it's like get in the work mood. So yes, and I try to balance it, because I quit working and then I don't use this room. So I think I'm a bit privileged, because not everybody has his own or her own office at home. So this is the work area here. And the university also does sports courses on YouTube as live streams. So I think we are very privileged. Sometimes I take part there, and then it's a natural end for working, because then I do sports and then it's over the day, and the next day I start again. And also to balance it a bit, they also do some workouts during the day, just office compatible workouts, like rolling your shoulders and something like that. So I think that's also a nice break, and you can take part at the live event or later on if you aren't in a meeting or something like that. So I think that's also a great thing to get more moving, because when you stay at home, you get a lack of movement of the day. You just have a few steps around the flat.
Yeah, correct. Yes. So I was used to walk a lot, because at T-Mobile we have 4 towers with 9 floors, and you know, you can chat with someone via any tool. That's not an issue, but I like to go to the person, see if he's available, and then chat with him, explain stuff, and see it face to face. And that always takes a couple of stairs. So I was used to walking a lot, climbing a lot of stairs, feeling, you know, you're doing some physical exercise, and it's completely gone now. So the moments I'm in the office, when I take stairs, because I don't take the elevator, the first days I was again in the office, I really felt it. So it's like, okay, I didn't do some exercise enough. So, but yeah, it's you need to, the employees need to look into ways to keep that physical exercise going, because otherwise, yeah, walking to your kitchen and back doesn't work.
That's a very good point that you made. On one hand, in relation to the blending of the professional to the personal life, and also in relation with what you've gained. I mean, the time, but the time, as Marc was saying, the commuting was his time, and then he found other time which is his, and the same did you all. I mean, actually, maybe most of us in this respect are gaining time if we manage to identify and to cherish and to find the ways to do it, either for sport, for cooking, for reading, for whatever. But on one hand, maybe for many, this working from home is hard, and they would like to go back to the office to just split this blending. On the other hand, I'm looking at the younger generation, including the ones in my company, which cherish maybe the freedom of the flexibility that they've gained, and I'm not quite sure that most of them will ever return to the office. I mean, even if in the circumstances. So what will happen with the offices of the future after COVID is over, after everybody is vaccinated, and this is done? Will we ever return to the office? I mean, Rick, you've said about an office of 1,200 people. What will happen with that space?
Well, what we're currently working on, I expect that we will become smaller, and we already have those flexible working places. But although they were flexible and I could sit everywhere I wanted, every place was for someone specific. So technically it was flexible, but hey, it was accustomed that I was sitting there and no one else was sort of allowed to sit there. So what will happen now is that when we get a smaller office space, we really have those flexible working places. You don't have your own desk anymore. That is something that will happen. The other thing what we are already working on is that we will have a more green office, more plants, and also more small meeting spaces, like you see in a university when you go to the places where the students gather between their college, where they have the college with the professor. Those kind of setups are now we are now building in the office of T-Mobile. The amount of meeting rooms will grow, because the reason what will happen is that a mix of people will work from home and a mix will work in the office. So the amount of meetings will stay and will only grow. And you cannot have a meeting like we do now when you're sitting next to each other in an office space. So I see a lot of changes already happening at T-Mobile, we are calling it the hybrid way of working, where people work 50-50, so 50% at home and 50% in the office. Of course, that's not a hard cut. I can understand that people with small children who are not ready for school, they don't want to work from home. They will work more in the office. When you have certain kind of work, you will also be in the office. And there are others who will gladly work at home. When you have older kids, then you can easily work at home. Or if you have a larger house, you can also work from home. And so it's a mix based on the personal situation of people.
Rick, may I ask a question to this? It's like this hybrid approach. Is this valid for every single employee, or are there people that in the future will only work from home and people that will only work from the office at T-Systems? You know that?
Well, of course, you have people who can only work in the office or who need to be more in the office. People from facilities, or from the internal post office, or security or reception people. They need, of course, they can only work from the office. Then it depends on the manager. If still, because it's not that it's up to the manager, but there are still managers for whom it's difficult to give that kind of freedom to their team, to work solely from home. And of course, you have the situation that people simply get lonely. And working in the office is also a social event. Getting to the coffee machine, eating together in the cafeteria, or even going outside and eat something at a restaurant. Those social events we had in the past and were natural, they are gone at the moment, and you see that people are getting lonely. And you notice that by when you have a call with them, for instance, they talk a lot about their situation, and you know, they have a story to tell. not only the functional stuff. And then, you know, they have no one who they can talk to.
I think that's probably one of the most important things to do right now still, or again, I would say now that we're all in a lockdown again, is
Yes.
not only to ask for work-related stuff, but also talk a little bit about how are you feeling? Like this
Yeah.
how do you feel, not in this like, yeah, how do you feel? Okay, good, next topic kind of way, but to really start, I call it the empathy turbo, which
Yes.
means like really be empathetic, ask what people, how they really feel and how their situation is. The reason I asked about if people, if this is like a rule for everyone, is because we at Dropbox, we are taking a more radical approach because we're completely getting rid of our offices. We will not work in offices anymore. If we are working on individual things that we are doing, out of this will be done from home, but we will still have the opportunity to meet in an office. And there will be what we call Dropbox spaces where you can collaborate, where all the collaborative work can still take place in an office. And this is what I see, where I also see kind of the thoughtfulness that the people at Dropbox put into that approach is they were thinking about exactly that. So what happens if you say, well, everybody can do what they want? Like it's a hybrid approach in terms of if you want to work from home, you can work from home. If you want to work from an office, you can work from there. If you want to mix it, you can just do it. Sounds like full flexibility. But the reality is this changes the employee experience.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, and
People
also
will have a different experience. Just for example, if you look at HR processes, guess who gets the next promotion? The person who works from home or the person who's in the office all day? So I think there's still a lot of things that we have to think about for 2021 and the following years in terms of what will change in the workplace.
Yeah, I can give you another example. What we're doing now, we had a physical laptop swap because T-Mobile, the Netherlands, acquired another telecom provider in the Netherlands, and those employees still worked on their old device, and we had to swap their laptops. Normally, that's a simple process. People are in the office, they go to a desk, they hand in the old laptop, get a new laptop, and they log in, and it's done. But we have a lockdown. There's basically, it's not possible to do it in the office. So we are delivering those laptops at home. So here you go, here's your laptop, sign here, and and a week later we pick up the old one. And that's something we will do next year also. And the year after. So there is no contact anymore. There is no brand experience anymore. When you start at a new company, you start at the desk, and you don't know that there are those nitty-gritty stuff like a pen from the company and a notebook from the company, and you know the company colors, and I don't know, that kind of stuff. That experience belonging to the culture of a company, it's so different now and so difficult to maintain, and that's one of the hardest things to keep on doing when people work remote.
So I would touch this with Martina in regard of getting back to the office from the university perspective. When it might be a different situation in your case from this cultural approach of work, but I'm also looking at the potential of university to play an active role in preparing us, and especially the younger generation, maybe the students, for the new ways of working. I mean, it's clear that this is transforming. Will maybe the university need to play a more active role into the education of this these ways of working, or identifying, or research into it? What do you think of all this, the role and also the?
I think the universities, or especially University of Hannover, is doing research in this kind of direction, how productive is working from home or home office. And they found out that it's productive. So before it was always the fear that no one is working, everybody lays down. I think it depends really of the areas of the university, and I'm not sure how the presidential board will decide later on. You see, a university, in our case, it's a very conservative employee. It's you have very structured departments and faculties and institutes, and of course for us as the web team it's easy, but we also have the researchers going to the university right now. They have the hygiene concept, but they have to do some stuff in their areas as well now. So I think the university will probably be always an institution who is very conservative, but maybe there will be more flexible ways of work, maybe more opportunities to do home office, and not only 12 days a year. So maybe this will be the first step. And I think for the students as well, this could be an opportunity. You could reach more students from all over the country. But I think it's also a problem because, of course, all the students now are sitting at home and studying at home. And it's also a kind of mental problem because some of them moved to Hannover, of course, and now they're sitting maybe in one tiny little room and getting to know no one. Or, as I heard from the daughter of one colleague of mine, she stayed at her parents' house in Hannover and studies now in Hannover. An online study because she could go elsewhere, but it would be the same experience. So now she has the connection to her family, but she doesn't go out. So at first, before the lockdown light, the university tries to arrange some little groups of people meeting in person to get to know each other. And also the sports department has some on-site courses to arrange meeting new people. And I think that's always a problem. They try to do it virtually now, but I think if you are new and you are young and you have to meet people, it's an I think it's a human desire to meet new people if you are young. And I think for us it's more easy because we know each other. We don't have colleagues to make an onboard now. I think that's also a problem if you only work virtually and to get to know the people. And yes, of course you can use platforms, but I think sometimes there's an end to it. I think in the tech area it's possible, but there are other areas I think they are not ready now.
Martina, to be
an interesting point you make regarding the need to care, the need to relate, and the need to bring the conversation to a more normal level, let's say person-to-person level. And in this, and I saw a sort of question or remark on the chat. We remember fondly about the talks near the coffee machine, and these are gone. But these were not just social breaks, not just things to refresh our mind, but also maybe a great source of innovation in our company. I mean, where ideas came, when new products are born, so it's going to a beer, which is also kind of gone, and chit-chat near the coffee machine where ideas are created. So what we do with that? How do we bring them back somehow? Because the innovation and management in an organization suffers now of this type of lack of natural communication.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, Daniel, because I think it's still happening. It's just happening somewhere else. So it's happening virtually. It's not necessarily happening organized, but it can. So one of the things that we are doing, just as an example, to get those chit-chat, like coffee breaks going, is we kind of developed our own little tool that will bring different people together. You can just sign up for a coffee chat, but you don't know with whom do you talk. Pretty much like, I don't know, there are other tools out there that are different, but this is exactly what we are doing. So people are meeting just for a coffee. We had this previously in the offices as well, because if you grow up to a certain extent, like to, I don't know, a couple of hundred of people, it's super hard to meet new people, right? You will see them on the floor, but do you talk to them? I don't know. We had the same thing when we were still working in an office, where you could just sign up with exactly the same tool and you would meet someone, in that case, for lunch. So just like a small little lunch break that you do with someone that you don't know, which is super important. And from an innovation perspective, I know that a lot of companies have hack weeks, just like we at Dropbox have as well, where we give our employees from all over the company time to innovate, time to think about different things. We did that 100% virtually this year. And to be honest, it wasn't that much of a difference, because we're a global organization anyways. So we had to communicate virtually even before the pandemic, when we were collaborating on, especially on innovation. So I think that will work in the future as well, just like it does today.
Very much, Marc. And with that, actually, we're closing to the end of our session. Now you see flies very fast when you're talking such an interesting topic. And I would like to say for all the audience that Marc will be back with a presentation at 4 o'clock Central European time. And he will present there the virtual first toolkit that was developed by Dropbox. So it's a fantastic, fascinating approach, framework of the new ways of working, and you should not miss it, because everybody will get such a good inspiration from that. And I would like to close with inviting you with a final remark regarding what do you think about all this transformation challenge and new ways? Will actually this be for the better of our cooperation in companies, capacity of us to move forward, or should we return to the old ways? So, Rick, what are you saying?
I think it's for the better. What I can see is that companies are now forced to free up budgets to arrange all kind of tools and possibilities to make sure that people can work remotely, and it will only shift budget, because you don't need that much office space anymore, and you can use it specifically for the employee experience. And I think that's important. And yeah, it's something that would have happened eventually, but now in a shorter period of time. So yeah, I think it's excellent.
Thank you, Rick. Martina, your final remark on that.
Yeah, I could also agree. As a university, we got a big how do I tell you? Yes, we have now online platforms for the students. They were there before, but now you can stream live the courses. You have all materials online. It was there before, but I think it's better now, and also for us as employees, there are more opportunities and more possibilities now. So maybe let's see how the university will see it in 2022, and yeah, but I think it's a great opportunity. Yes.
Martina, thank you very much. Marc, what do you think?
Absolutely the same. It's definitely a fantastic opportunity for all of us. And the biggest opportunity I see for every company globally is that they can put more trust into their employees, because they have to work from home. You have to trust them. You already did during the first lockdown. Now you're doing it again. And this level of trust that we are seeing now is something new for a lot of companies. And it really brings us all into a better position.
Thank you very much, Marc, and I'm so glad that we actually finished with such a positive note, that we took a challenge in the spring and then we transform it to an opportunity to stay. And we found new ways of working. We've come to innovation. We're transforming for the better the way we work and collaborate. So thank you very much for this wonderful conversation. We could go for hours for sure. But now, please, all of us, let's switch to a session. The extreme agility will happen in a dedicated session. So go to the session tab and choose extreme agility, and we'll see each other there in a moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.